Great.
All right, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Zach Allison with ATS Spec, spec tool where you can find the Blucher products we're talking about today, as well as a number of the other Watts products from the family of brands that they have there. With us today is Michael O'Brien from the Blucher team over in Watts. We're going to be running through stainless steel drainage systems and contamination control and some acid resistance products. Really unique products that fit a wide range of really specific applications. They fit in more applications than I think a lot of people originally consider. As with all of our ATS University sessions, we are going to be recording this so that we can have it on our ATS University session of the spec tool for any reference down the line for everyone that missed it today. So with that in mind, as with all of our webinars, we have everyone muted upon entry, but I'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A and chat fields along the way. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop it in there and I'll bring it up to Mike when we get to a good moment to pause and answer your questions. We hope that we'll have enough time to run through everything, show the products on the system, and wrap that up all before the end of the lunch hour here. But thanks for spending the time that you can with us today. And with that, I'll pass it over to you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike O'Brien, and I am the Canadian Regional Sales Manager for Blucher brand at Watts Water Technologies. And thank you for joining us today. I just want to acknowledge the rest of the Watts family here. Our combined history, as it says, over 1,000 years of history in the water and plumbing industry, and brands that cover everything from boilers and water heaters, backflow, filtration, mixing valves, on and on and on, right through the drains, and brands like Blucher and Orion that are a little bit on the specialty side. So about Blucher, Blucher was founded in Denmark in 1965. Some people ask if Blucher is a German company because of the name Blucher, and is a German name, but it was the middle name of a Danish plumber who wanted something special for a project, made it in his garage, thought it was neat, showed it to a few other people, and over the past almost 60 years now, it's grown to be quite a sizable and well recognized globally stainless steel drainage company. So various types of product lines related to that, as we'll get into, and lots of certifications: IAPMO certified, NSF certified, HACCP, ISO, FDA Modernization Act, SME standards. So and Blucher gets quite involved in all of those programs and in the testing. So as I mentioned, it's a global brand, so locations USA and Canada, obviously here in North America, all over Europe, Denmark, of course, where it was founded, England, Norway, Germany, Sweden, the Middle East, Asia Pacific, really quite a global type of company. So typical applications where Blucher products would be found are commercial, things like offices, hotels, hospitals, all those rec centers, airports, etc. Industrial applications would be food and beverage facilities, pharmaceutical, chemical, biotech. Marine is a big market for Blucher. Cruise liners, yachts, custom yachts, naval vessels. In fact, 85% of the world's cruise liners use Blucher drainage on their ships. So if you're on a cruise, do what I do, and you look down at the drains, and quite often you'll see Blucher there. My wife finds it embarrassing because I like to take pictures of the Blucher drains to share with my team, and sometimes when you see one in the men's room, it can really be awkward when you're pulling your camera out. But
everyone else taking pictures of the beach, and there you are, looking at the washroom and looking at like the stainless steel drainage pipes.
Exactly. So And even in parts of the world, residential. We don't see that here in Canada or the US so much, but in Europe, it's very common to see stainless steel drains and drainage pipe used in residential. So.
Well, and certainly on that front, I know we're going to cover it later on, but the shower drains from Blücher for maybe not the single family residential, but the commercial kind of pool, shower areas, locker rooms, that's certainly becoming more common.
Yes, yeah, we will touch on that and another addition to that product line within Blücher a little later on this afternoon. So the product lines that the Blücher is involved in is Blücher pipe. It's a complete line of drainage pipe and fittings made of stainless steel, all very lightweight, durable, easy to install, and available in sizes from 1.5 inch diameter up to 12-inch diameter, or the metric equivalent. So, of course, the Blücher drain, which would be your area drains, floor drains, etc. Again, everything from light duty to heavy duty to fit all types of different applications and floor types. Hygienic Pro, which is, I refer to it as our Halo product. It's something we designed specifically for food and beverage and high hygienic requirement applications. So made to be easy to clean, to move water quickly and efficiently, and move solids quickly and efficiently out of the facility and down the drain. And then, of course, Blücher channel, which would include those linear shower channels, but also linear type trench drains and even the more square rectangular type of kitchen channels that you might see in a commercial kitchen in front of a pot where they want to tip that over and drain it and have it go down the drain as opposed to on the floor. So a good collection of product lines to meet a good variety of applications. So, and specifically where I guess we would differentiate ourselves from other types of drain products is in the hygienic focused facilities. So in those types of facilities, drains and floors are really important for the for keeping the hygienic environment in that facility. So it sees all the traffic, any of the waste or dirt ends up on the floor. It is subjected to some extreme temperatures, either from high temperature discharge from a tank of scalding water or scalding liquid, and also the cleaning and sanitation programs in those types of facilities tend to use very, very hot, scalding, near boiling type of water, and that can be hard on materials. It's it can change the makeup of some materials. It certainly leads to thermal expansion and contraction. So those are things that are factors in those types of facilities. Many of them are concerned about biological contamination. Listeria is a huge issue in meat and dairy type of facilities. Microbiological like salmonella, E. coli, in vegetable processing and ready to eat. Those in Canada may remember in 2008 that Maple Leaf Foods had a large recall due to listeria in a couple of their sliced meats, luncheon meat type of facilities, and that was millions and millions, if not billions of dollars in lost revenue for the company trying to rectify that and save their reputation, which they've done magnificently. In fact, universities use that as a case study on how to handle a crisis. But in that particular case from listeria, over 20, 22, 23, 24 people actually died. There were thousands that were sick. So that's in a food and beverage facility, these are the types of things that keep the owners and the managers up at night as to how we're going to manage that in our process. So we're also concerned, quite frankly, with the facility integrity and the lifetime of it. You want to put materials into your building that are going to last a long time. If you've invested the money in it, you're probably looking for 30, 50, 70 years worth of lifetime out of that facility. So you want to make sure that you're using products in that facility that do that. And of course, drainage is a major factor. It has to, it's profound statement, but the drains need to be at the low point of the floor, for instance, and you want them to tie into the floor. So it's more than just a hole in the floor. It's more than just an add-on. And that's what we'd like people to think about. Here we're talking about 5 key factors of controlling bacteria. And I got this from a seminar hosted by the North American Meat Institute, where they teach meat processors how to deal with, how to manage listeria. So listeria is a bacteria. It's naturally occurring. If you have a meat facility, it's you're going to have it there, but you don't want to have it on your finished products going out the door. So in that seminar, the 5 key takeaways were that, hygienic design of the facility. You want your processing equipment to be designed hygienically so it can be cleaned. If you've been in one, you'll see that they're all stainless steel. Obviously, on the equipment, it's easier to clean if it's stainless steel. You want to look at your traffic pattern so you don't have, say, raw meat passing by areas where you have finished goods or nearly finished goods. Good manufacturing practices are important. A good sanitation program where you have a regular cleaning of the facility and then another program where you're deep cleaning or deep sanitizing the system. But the last one was really important here, and that's clean, dry, uncracked floors. In the case of Maple Leaf, the issue that they had is that they would tear down the equipment, completely sterilize everything, wash all the listeria and soap and all those things down to the drain. The last thing they do is come along with the pressure washer, and any bacteria that's hiding in cracks in the floor or cracks along the side of the drain we get hit with the pressurized water and atomize and create a spray of bacteria that just settle back on everything they spent the past 48 hours completely cleaning. So if your floor is clean, it's not going to contribute to a listeria issue. If it's dry, it's safer when it's dry, but it also, again, life needs water. And if the floor is not cracked, then you're eliminating the areas where that bacteria can colonize and really get established and become difficult to eradicate. So talking about the drains themselves, the drainage materials, I mentioned there are other types of materials for drains. PVC and CPVC are common, cast iron, very common, and of course stainless steel. And stainless steel is exclusively what Blücher uses for their drains. So you'll notice in the pictures, all of the food processing equipment in these 2 pictures are completely stainless steel, and that's a good reason for it. So PVC and CPVC have some limitations. PVC shouldn't really be exposed to temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That's typically where your water, an industrial hot water heater is going to be set to. And then your cleaning process is probably in between 180 and 195 degrees Fahrenheit. So you start to see some with PVC, it's really not the best application for those places where they have that type of process going on. It can become soft when exposed to the temperatures. So if you're using a rotting tool to clean a clog or something, you may find that the tool can pierce through the bends and the turns. There's a fairly high amount of thermal expansion due to exposure to hot and cold temperatures. So 20 times more of that of stainless steel, and that can be an issue if that's in the floor and providing a channel for your water to flow through. If it's trying to get quite a bit bigger than the floor will allow it, it will start to collapse on itself, and now we have a gap between the floor and the channel. So it is flammable, and it can lead to toxic gases if there's a fire in the facility, etc. A couple of points at the bottom here on the temperature. You're reducing the lifetime of PVC by half for every 50 degree Fahrenheit increase in water temperature. So if you're normally operating at say 70 degrees and you expose it to a 120 degree Fahrenheit water temperature on a regular basis, you're going to drop that lifetime in half. And if you go up another 50, you'll drop it in half again. So you're starting to lose some of that lifetime in your building. And that softening starts at 33% of the melting temperature. So even at say 90 degrees or 100 degrees, you're going to start to see softening of the material. So with CPVC, it's not really compatible with oils or chemicals. It's right in the safety data sheet of the material itself that it shouldn't be used in connecting a dishwasher drain to a sanitary drain due to the incompatibility with the food oils, the proteins, and the surfactants in the dishwasher wastewater. So again, in an area where they have a cleaning process, then CPVC is not a good option for them. So we're talking about the thermal expansion and contraction. We can see that this is continual use temperature. 220 CPVC on the plastics. PVC is 140. PVDF can get higher. Stainless steel, we're showing this here as 212, and that is because in our piping system we have a gasket. Our standard gasket is rated for continuous at 212, but stainless steel doesn't melt till somewhere around 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's it can take a lot higher temperatures for continual use.
Well, and on that point, I know this is one thing that comes up regularly in our discussions with engineers is the continual use versus spikes. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could comment on that a little bit, because that does come up regularly where we're asked like, hey, we have to get up to this temperature versus continual use.
If they're concerned about it, they're probably doing it somewhat fairly often. And I think that at the very least, you will be shortening the lifetime of that material in your facility. So if you looked at, I would myself, if it was my building, I'd want something, if I was weekly exposing it to high temperature, I'd want to make sure it could take high temperature continually.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the comment to let resonate is it's happening regularly, then that ties into the continual use. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So here's the chart on thermal expansion for various materials. Down at the bottom, you'll see concrete. It will expand and contract a little bit when exposed to high temperatures, but not very much. On the various types of materials, you'll notice that in the middle here, stainless steel is again very small compared to some of these other plastic materials. Like I say, what happens if we look at the picture here on the right, I believe this drain has a cast iron frame with a a PVC type channel. So what happens when they put hot liquids down into that is that PVC is wanting to expand and meeting on the sides, it's meeting the concrete. Well, the concrete's not going to give way to the PVC, so it's going to the PVC will expand into the channel as opposed to pushing the concrete out. So you'll start to see that it's bowing in and leaving a gap. And then once it cools down again, it won't quite go back into the same spot. So now you have a separation of the drain body from the floor, and that's, unfortunately, the water is going to go down there before it goes down the drain. And once it does that, it starts to, the concrete acts like a sponge. It starts to soak it up, and when that happens, then the coatings start to flake off, as you see here. It's obviously this has been going on for several months now, at the very least, and that what's typically a very expensive coating is starting to chip off. So choosing the right materials is important with the when you're specifying drains or looking to purchase drains. So with cast iron is subject to corrosion, chemical, electrochemical, biological. And so again, if you're using some somewhat aggressive chemicals to clean your facility, then they can lead to corrosion of your cast iron materials. Even things like organics, if they are, say, in an oversized pipe for the flow, and without the velocity, you start to see solids settle out in the bottom of the pipe, and eventually they will start to off gas, break down off gas, create H2S. The H2S will rise to the top of the pipe and then start to condense on the inside top surface of the pipe, and then drip down and sit on the water line. And you'll start to see, when that's happening, you'll start to see lines running along like cracks running along the length of the pipe where the sulfuric acid is eaten through the pipe. So again, if you're concerned about the longevity of a facility, you may want to look at other types of materials for that if you have an application that may lead to those types of situations. So cast iron is also brittle, so it can crack or break if bumped. And quite frankly, same with the plastics too. The hard plastic pipes, they can, if somebody backs into them, they can break, and then they've failed. So cast iron also has some limitations when high temperatures are present. It can withstand short periods of up to 203 degrees Fahrenheit, so just under boiling. And then the epoxy coated cast iron, you have two different materials expanding and contracting at two different rates. So you're again, they're not great choices for areas where you may have corrosive environments or corrosive materials going down. So the answer, of course, is stainless steel. As we mentioned, in hygienic facilities, they use stainless steel for the materials. It also makes a lot of sense on the ground, in the ground, for your drainage system, whether that's the drains, the channels, the pipe and fittings. So stainless steel is an alloy that has chromium added by up to a minimum of 12% to call it stainless steel. What happens is that chromium will oxidize and form a passive film of chromium oxide on the on the surface, and that's what gives stainless steel its corrosion resistance. So, the little thing down here at the bottom, stainless steel is not suitable for all drainage applications. So there are some areas where you may want to check on the chemicals that you're using. High concentrations of chlorides could be an issue for stainless steel in some applications. So let's go into our product range here.
So actually, if we can just take a quick pause before we get into the actual products, I wanted to take a second, go over a couple of questions that we've prepared here for the audience, and also give a chance for anyone to bring up any questions that you may have had on that first section on the different categories. So we've got some poll questions here for people. If we can just take a second to have those filled out. Hopefully it popped up on everyone. So yeah, I wanted to circle back on the key factors of controlling bacteria in hygienic facilities. I think that was a very important part that we covered early on, and especially your example there with the maple leaf and how almost similar to infection control practices in hospitals, avoiding any sort of standing water and ensuring that there's no small crevices for bacteria and things to build up in. And just as well, taking a second to see if any questions come in from the chat on any of the factors we covered earlier. And good news, Michael, it does seem like people are paying attention. Got a lot of good answers coming in on the poll questions. So congratulations, you got good info that's keeping people interested.
Great.
I guess for now, I haven't seen any questions coming in from the chat, so we'll move along. Thanks for keeping with us.
Okay. So getting into the product range, industrial drains, floor and area type drains, floor cleanouts. So various sizes, various shapes, vertical outlets, side outlets, shower applications, etc. They're heavy duty floor drains they're for all floor types. So we have them for epoxy and floor coating applications. We have them for tile applications, surface membrane or vinyl floor type of thing where we have a clamp. The left side of the drain on the left bottom there is showing a membrane a membrane clamp. So where you would see that is in an above grade application where there's a finished area or used area underneath, and you want to have obviously a sheet membrane to collect any water that gets underneath the floor and down to that level. And this funnels it down into the drain so it will continue on its way. So we have them in adjustable or non-adjustable, so you can adjust the height. If you have a fixed height all the way through, then you don't need the adjustable. But again, typically on those above grade applications, you may find that that there are points of the floor that are thicker, and so you need a little bit of adjustment in there. Of course, we have gratings for all load classes. They're all durable, they're all hygienic, so easy to clean, no sharp corners, etc., and simple to install. A couple of my favorites here, the BFD 570. It's a 12-inch floor drain, area drain. It's part of our Hygienic Pro line. Well priced with the Hygienic Pro grate that we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. The BFD 130 is a very popular model with again with that membrane flange all the way around that ties that in and and keeps the people on lower floors dry and happy. And our hub drain, the BHD 200, and that comes in sizes. I think we're looking maybe even up to 10 inches now on this type of a hub drain. And where you would see that is this would be installed above the finished floor level and accept the discharge from a tank or a process without it making its way down onto the floor. So again, these are popular ones. I think they're well priced and good value. Moving on to the lavatory shower drains and shower channels. These ones here are quite popular. I think every school in Alberta now is required to use these when they're building new or reconstructing a facility. Again, a good, well-priced drain, easy to use. The one up top here is for a tiled floor or an epoxy type floor, and then this one here has a clamp. So if you had the vinyl sheet flooring, this one clamps down and ties that into the floor properly.
We had a quick question actually come in from the chat here. And I guess you can probably relate it for all of these, but they were wondering about the price fluctuation of stainless and how that's affecting pricing of these products. Particularly, they were probably most closely relating it to that 570 that you showed. More they're wondering about for the condo applications and the garage drains.
Okay.
So something similar to like a 12 by 12 heavy duty, I guess comparable to like the ductile iron from Watts or the 490 all aluminum.
On a garage drain, that may or may not be stainless steel, may or may not be the best application for that, if that's what the question is about. But talking about the fluctuation in stainless steel price, obviously we were hit with price increases on a lot of fronts over the past few years, but due to the fact that Blücher uses stainless steel exclusively for their materials, it's very important that they had a strong supply, and we were able to, for the most part, buy it in advance with big commitments, and weathered the worst of that. So obviously stainless steel is a more expensive option than cast iron or plastic, and it was before the fluctuations. But again, it's in the right applications, it costs way more to fix a floor because you put the wrong product material in than it does to do it right the first time.
Yeah, I think that really explains it best. It's an application specific product. The garage drain probably, even though stainless is a good alternative versus like the salt that we have to weather in the Canadian winter, aluminum does that just as well. And if we use the FD 490 and the all aluminum from Watts, then there's a good option there that's right in line with the rest of the market on the product. But when you're looking more for that, these more specialized applications, it's cheaper to do it once with a slightly higher price point than to tear it down and do it twice.
Exactly.
Thanks for the question from chat.
Yeah. So just going back on, we do the shower channels, which you'll see quite often in commercial buildings, recreation buildings. The one here at the bottom middle is a sheet floor type of application, like what you would see in a hospital facility or a medical type facility, and so that top piece that gives you just that nice little clean slot in the middle actually clamps down around the flooring material and holds it in place, holds it down and holds it in place. So a very, very nice looking drain that architects tend to get pretty happy to see, and I see it getting inquired and specified fairly often on that. So we also offer some custom grade options, besides the standard, just you see on the left side, there's the just a nice clean circle. There's a couple of different options with this one we call Oslo. It has a little bit of a different pattern. And at the bottom, this was a soccer ball. This was custom made for the World Cup, the 2020 World Cup that happened in 2021. And so the facilities, all the floor drains on the facilities had these gratings on them. So, and that's something that we can do. We need a minimum order of 50 to look at it. But if you're designing a facility that's going to have lots of floor drains, and you want to do something special with some branding, etc., that's something we can look at for you. Not every logo is going to work, obviously, because it still needs to function as a grate, and it still needs to support a little bit of foot traffic, etc. But certainly something to keep in mind. So we've recently introduced also within the drain line a ligature resistant option, both in round and square floor drains and in shower channel. And so ligature resistant is a requirement in prisons, and certainly at the very least the mental health departments of healthcare facilities. And we now have a very nice and we think well-priced option for that. These are the floor drains are in 5, 6, and 8-inch options, and will all be stainless steel. So stainless steel body, stainless steel strainer, etc. And then the shower channels, 12, 24, 30, 32, 36, up through 60-inch options, all in stainless steel. You can choose the outlet location and or center. And again, it's well priced and certainly designed for that particular application. We do channels, which would be everything from the trench drain to these large, we call them a kitchen channel, but those large type of kitchen drains. For any type of floor construction, again, above grade, on grade, epoxy or urethane finish, or polished stainless steel finish, or tile. We can customize them. We have a range of gratings available, and again, because they're stainless steel, they're easy to clean. All that stuff is made to order. You can choose 304, 316 stainless steel. They're typically pre-sloped with longitudinal and cross flow. Had a couple of applications where they wanted no slope. There was slope on the floor, etc. That's an option too. Wide variety of widths, 3, 6, 12, on and on up to 32 inches wide. So we can make it to fit whatever that application is. So, and again, gratings for any load or application, whether that's a shower here on the left, probably a cart cleaning area here where they're using a mesh grate, and then up on the top here where there's it's our hygienic grating. So as mentioned, it works with either floor tile or the liquid surface membrane. If you have those types of applications, we're able to provide a channel that will tie into the floor properly. And again, it's important to tie into the floor, because if it's not part of the floor, then the water is going down beside it as opposed to down the drain, that water is going to cause a problem. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually it's going to cause a problem, and it could be a big one. So a couple other types of, this on the left here is showing, how a sheet flooring system would work with work with the channel. On the inside here is a clamp that comes down over the sheet floor so that it is held in place and water finds its way into the drain. And then subsurface, we're showing here on the drawing, this is an end view of the channel, and there is a clamp here for a subsurface membrane. And again, any water, if there's a crack over here in the floor and water gets down, it'll find its way down in here, and in this case, it just enters into the drain and moves along. So now moving on to our Halo product, the Hygienic Pro channel. Again, was designed specifically for food and beverage facilities. They are notoriously hard on their floors. They operate at cooler temperatures typically, and then expose the floor and the drains to sudden spikes of hot temperatures. So whether it's a brewery dumping out a tank or a clean in place process that's dumping scalding water on the floor. They have issues of separation of a trench drain from the floor, from the concrete floor around it. They have issues with solids. They have issues with keeping the drain clean and sanitized. So this was designed to answer all those things for a food and beverage type facility. So starting with things like a nicely designed basket. We have these available in different sizes for different volumes. Obviously, if you want a deep basket, you're going to need a deeper outlet. But in this particular style of basket, it can be half full of material and still have its full flow capacities traveling through that trench drain. We designed a grate. This grate is cast stainless steel. Because it's cast, we can have a spine. You can see there's a spine running all the way down the length of this grating, and this is multiple pieces of grating here. They're 500 millimeters long each, so they can be removed reasonably easily. But what this does, going back to the spine, as opposed to having a frame, is there's nothing blocking solids from traveling over this and getting down into the channel. If there was a frame here, you may have a good amount of solid stuck between the side of the trench and the grate itself. And if it's sitting there all day, it's going to be harder to clean. So the other factor of this being cast is that there's no sharp corners or welds here where the crossbars meet the spine. So it's a very, very efficient at getting solids through it, and because the solids has moved on and the design of the grate, it's easy to clean. So I mentioned that separation of the floor and the drain, and one of the things that we've done here with this is we've formed anchor tabs as part of the channel body. So they're not welded on. They're not an afterthought. They're actually formed as part of it. And it arrives flat, and these get folded down in opposing directions by the installer. Now, concrete really doesn't stick to anything other than leather boots, but you can see that once it sets here, it is virtually impossible to move this drain up and down or side to side. It's locked in place within the concrete. And so if it's locked in place, it's not going to have a little crack in the floor between the trench drain and the concrete floor itself. We did things like designed this little blue piece here. This will come to site with the entire trench drain surrounded with this blue plastic construction cover. The channel will come with wood, and we're doing this also on our 6-inch standard channels. So the installer doesn't have to worry about getting some plywood and keeping this clean, cutting it down, filling it in, keeping it clean. It already comes that way, but this blue piece actually acts as a mold, and provides a little bit of an area all the way around the drain that can be used for a sealant to really really tie that drain body into the surrounding floor. If you're doing an epoxy or a urethane type of floor, without this type of mold here, the installer of the flooring coating would have to come around with a grinder and grind all the way around the surface to give it a little area to stick to. In this case, it's, we've got 12 millimeters, roughly a ½ inch by about 11 millimeters of area for that material to really stick to. We designed an efficient channel. It's not flat across. You can see it kind of comes down and it directs solids down into the center of the channel where they're easier to clean. And also because it's tapered at this point with a given volume of water, you'll be generating a higher velocity of water, and velocity is what carries the solids down. So, and then lastly, we eliminated square corners, because inside square corners have a great deal of stress inherent in them. And by eliminating that and making it round everywhere, including the outlet box, you take that stress and spread it out over a larger area, and you're less likely to ever see cracking at the corners, which was not the case with the square type channels. Here we're showing the grade section of the Hygienic Pro. Again, we see the spine, kind of little fingers coming out, versus this is also a very good fully welded ladder grate. But again, because it has a frame, it has some area between this outside of the grate frame and the wall of the trench drain where you could have solids collecting. So I have a video here that should run. I don't know if it'll have sound, but there's no speaking anyway. So this is comparing the Hygienic Pro channel fluid dynamics versus a regular standard type of stainless steel channel. So same amount of material. These are actually side by side in a rig at Watson in the Boston area. And so they're seeing the exact same volume of water at exactly the same time. And we can see here that in the Hygienic Pro instance, it pretty much cleaned out itself, just with the little bit of water that it was seeing. On the left side, we had to keep increasing the flow, and eventually it had to get the last bit of it, we had to completely flood the channel, and here it comes. So 17 seconds versus 3 minutes and 41 seconds. Less than a gallon on the Hygienic Pro side versus almost 25 gallons on the other side. So really what that means is that this material is making its way into the channel. Quite often the water that's taken it from the floor is enough to flush it down the drain. And once it's kind of down the drain and past the P-trap, it's not going to need to be cleaned again. So
it's funny, the water conservation discussions that always come up. We're saving fractions of water here and there on faucets, and even more service sink applications these days. They're looking for restrained flow, but really your pipe design and the type of product that you're selecting for your drainage is saving more water there than they would on any sort of faucet aerator that they're putting in. Yeah. And just before we dive into this, we've got about 10 minutes left here. I had a couple of questions, or a question come in from chat about where you'll be able to find the recording in case you have to dip out before the end here. You'll get a link for all attendees to the recording as part of our follow-up process. But if you also wish to just go over to atsspec.com, you'll see our Learning Hub area, and the ATS University section has all of our recorded webinar sessions over the last few years. Build them up quite a database, as well as some nice handy quick sizing guides that may relate to any of the topics. So if anyone of interest, feel free to go check that out, and you'll be able to access it there.
Great. Okay, so the last product line to discuss here is the stainless steel drainage pipe. It's all 316L stainless steel. Wastewater, rainwater drainage, black and gray water, sanitary discharge, like on boats, we'll see it quite often. It's non-combustible, has a long product life expectancy, quick and easy installations, easy to maintain, lots of joining options, whether that's the transition coupling we see here, which would take it to other types of piping systems. The seal, this is a push fit system, so there's a sealing ring inside. There's several options. EPDM is standard, which will cover most applications, up to 100 degrees Celsius, 212 Fahrenheit, continuous use. We have FPM Viton, which will give you higher temperature and some additional chemical resistance. And then NBR for petroleum, if you had airplane hangars or that where there might be seeing hydrocarbon type materials going down, then rubber is the proper way to do that. So we have joint clamps here for adding some additional pressure capabilities, and then we also provide manual and electric pipe cutters. So if a contractor is installing this system, then we do have some pipe cutters available for them to use to do the installation, and then upon return in good condition, they'll get credited for the return of the material. So advantages of Blücher pipe, well, like stainless steel, it's durable and smooth, lasts a long time, doesn't require a lot of maintenance, fire resistant, it's heat trace compatible. So if you have oils and fats and you want to keep those in a liquid form, you can do that. Very corrosion resistant to most chemicals, hygienic, of course. Very sustainable, 100% recyclable, and wherever possible, that Blücher will source recycled stainless steel. There's not enough of it to do exclusively recycled, but certainly you have a very sustainable option. Easy to install. It's lightweight. You can see it's a push fit system. Advantages of push fit: it's quick. You don't need specialized workers, so there's no skilled welder required. There's no flame watch or fire watch. It's a quick and easy little training to give somebody who has a little bit of common sense. They can be trained to do 500 connections in a day quite quickly. So all the fittings are prefabricated with drainage shape, smooth surface. There's a little bit of expansion in every socket, so it's don't have to worry about thermal cracking. Blücher leak tests every single part at the factory before it comes out. All the welds are properly done with protection gas inside and out, and then everything is neutralized in a pickling bath so that you don't have any contamination inside the pipe. If you're welding that, you obviously need skilled labor, and when you're welding stainless steel, you need some gases inside the pipe at the same time. It's time consuming and it's expensive. So, and then the same with mechanical. It just takes a long time. Literally with this push fit is you have a hub and spigot, and you lubricate the ends and you slide them together. There's a little bit of a detent there to stop you when if you reach the end, and if you get that, you just back it up a little bit so it allows you some of your expansion and contraction in the joint. But again, very simple. You're showing here the sealing ring that's inside the hub part here, and you can see that it is shaped so that it compresses against itself, and it becomes a very, very solid connection. It is possible to remove it, but it would damage that. It would take quite a bit of force and twisting, but it's also strong enough that it could last decades and decades. we've seen piping systems that have been in the ground for 25 years, and they're wanting to add on to it, and they look like they were just installed yesterday. So so now you're probably thinking, well, stainless steel is an expensive material for drainage pipe, and as a line item, it would be, but there are other costs involved because you also have to get that installed. So to prove our point, we had RS Means do an independent study of the installation times of Blucher versus PVC versus cast iron piping systems. The exact same location, so all three systems were installed in the same location, the same crew, the same layout, and these were qualified installers, 20 plus years of installing pipes. So what came out of that is that the Blucher pipe installed in a quarter of the time of the cast iron pipe, and a third of the time of the PVC pipe. So if you start factoring in the labor involved of two workers putting that together, and it quickly adds to the cost of the total installed job. So in most cases, in most metropolitan markets, the labor rate is significant enough that labor will more than make up for the cost difference of the line item for the pipe, and you'll have a longer lasting piping drainage system. And for contractors, once they get onto this, they love it because it goes quickly and it's lightweight. One person can carry an 8-inch pipe 10 feet long of the Blucher pipe, but that's not the case with other materials. There's no glue or smell from the cutting or the glue itself. So there's a lot of good reasons to consider it, and most of all, obviously, it's a high quality product. So looks like we're getting close to the end here. I want to point out that there's some resources, some videos if you want some more information. Mad Tree Brewing, these should be available through blucherpipe.com. We'll get you to this kind of testimonial video from Mad Tree Brewing in Cincinnati. They've found that they probably paid for the additional cost of the drains within roughly a month, just in savings of water and labor. If it costs them 10% more to buy the Hygienic Pro versus a competitor stainless steel drain, that was recouped very, very quickly. We have a one here, the 6 Ways Blucher Hygienic Pro saves time, water, and money, which is an interesting one, and we do have one that talks about hygiene. So anyways, we're here to help. ATS is here to help. I want to, just before I turn it back over, mention a couple of things. Another Watts brand in specialty drainage is the Orion brand. They have 3 different product lines available for laboratory underground use for return air plenums. There's some advantages to the chemical resistance of these types of materials. We have a number of different joining methods, whether it's the no-hub mechanical joint, socket fusion, or our own Ryan fused clamp-free electrofusion. And I just want to also point out that Watts has a great learn and earn program. There are short little 5 to 10 minute courses online at watts.com, watts.ca. And the more courses you do, you earn points for taking courses, and you can cash those points in for some pretty cool gifts. So good quality ones. I have this chair. It's a great chair. The other things that I've ordered have all been high quality. So anyways, I appreciate you sticking around. I'm going to turn it back to Zach, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I will say the quality of the products from the training on the go site is actually very high, and I think the courses are very good too. I'm pretty close to getting that beer tasting flight set, I think. We had a couple other questions coming. I'll actually take over the screen share here if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we had a couple questions coming in on how to, a couple of kind of housekeeping ones, how to get your certificate of attendance for joining the session today. We typically have those go out on Friday. Sometimes we might be a little bit delayed, I guess, but sounds like we're delayed on last week. So we'll get those sent out and these ones sent out. You'll get a certificate of attendance for joining us today, which will allow you to self-report for any of the programs that you need to self-report for. If you do want to access the recordings of this or any of the future sessions, we had that question come up a few times. I popped the link in chat, but on the atsspec.com site, you'll see in this Architects and Engineers tab, we have templates where you'll be able to find, for example, a pharmaceutical application template or a processing plant template and all the products that go with it, as well as the Learning Hub, where you can go over and look for like our tutorial videos on how to use the site, or the ATS knowledge base on all the various code discussions, engineering support, previous presentations like the commercial water delivery systems, infection control, locker room, code discussions, all that stuff is all in the ATS knowledge base. Once you get logged in through that login button, you may be more familiar with this page because most people do bypass that first homepage. Where you can either create a quick spec where you have none of our rule engine, it's just an immediate access to the library, pop in a quick title like floor drain or whatever it is you're trying to create, and you get into product selection. We have our project folder where you can put your project name, location, so that you get the barrier-free code applied. You can select your application so you get the most common products for that application. So you could select your lab and get more stainless steel drainage instead of the ductile iron drainage, or your masters, which is your frequently used applications. So if you have a number, if you have say you work with Sanofi or the Maple Leaf Lab Foods like we were talking about today, and you have a number of projects coming up over the next couple of years, you could work with me and my team. We'll help you create a master, or you can create a master yourself. Call it Maple Leaf Standard Fixtures and Drainage. And then once you create it once, it's going to be constantly updated. You can copy from it into a new project anytime you have a new location. And that way, if there's a model number that gets changed or discontinued, your project's going to be kept up to date. You can see I've gone through and created a project today just with some of the products that we talked about. I want to show some of the ways to navigate around the site very quickly and easily. So if you did have a master for this application, you go to your masters and you would find any of these different masters that fit. Say we're doing a mechanical room, we would just go action, copy to, and put in the project name for the full file that we had set up, or we can hit the new button and create a new project. But we've already got our project today. So if we just want to review the products, maybe make some changes, we talked about the different grates that are available. So here's that BFD 110, which is the square version of the 130 that you talked about in the presentation. If we want to change the grate from one to the other, we go on down, we can select our ladder grading, mesh grate, or that hygienic pro grate. You can customize it to choose your line size, or maybe the half grate 3/4. You can go all stainless, whatever it is you wish to do. And then hit add to product. And if there's any additional products that are required, it would pop that up. But because this is a drain, we don't need any additional selections. It's just going to load the file, and you could go add another drawing. So if we want to add another drawing or add another product selection, we call them drawing. We can either sort through our pinned favorites. So you can see I've pinned a number of these categories that I use all the time. Palm streaking fountains, as well as the trench drain and the floor drains. You can also search. So if we're searching for a clean out, we could pin the clean out, and that would be up there for us to come back to next time. or I can click into the category where I can then refine my selection. So you see we've got a wide variety of cleanouts available here. Can't show it at the bottom. I'm sure there's like 40, 50 different ways. We can start filtering it down. So if we want to see the Blücher stainless steel only, or if we could sort by application, you can sort for different categories of applications or types if we're talking about wall cleanouts, line cleanouts, yada, yada. Let's say we are looking for a heavy duty cleanout with the vacuum handle for airtight, watertight application. We could go with the BCO 150 or that BCO 130 for a square type. We could make through and either select an unsized top for a master selection or the specific dimensions depending on your application. If you know you have an 8x8 and you need a 6-inch connection with a large handle, we could then make that selection and add that product to our project file. So essentially we're creating a folder and we are adding selections into that folder. The reason that we do that is that it allows us to, instead of other websites where you might be able to get the manufacturer spec sheet, and here's an example there, we've got that integrated in where you've got the manufacturer spec sheet, or a different website where you might get the Revit file. We have all that embedded in, and you can see I've gone in and added labels, point drain, gas tight, watertight, the hygienic bro channel that we were talked about, and the channel drain with the surface membrane clamp that we talked about, as well as our new selection. So I can call this clean out, hit save, and then I can download not just the individual file, but our package of files. So I can download all those products in one submittal package here. And I've already popped that open because I always anticipate being a little behind on time. So you can see I've got some more formats opened here. We've got our Blücher webinar products, that point drain that we talked about, and a customized version. So if we selected a different grade or selected the line size, that would be checked off versus the unchecked. So it's customized to your project, to your selections on site. The model number changes, the selections change. We also have our manufacturer spec sheet format, where if you want some more detail on the product, you want to review the different options, maybe compare shop drawings that are being submitted to the products that you selected. This is a great format for that. Some of the other formats, I want to show a schedule. We have a fixture schedule in Word. And one of the nice aspects of this, see if I can move this up to the top there. If there was backflow on the project, hot water on the project, pumps, accessories, anything else, we have different schedules for different product types. So if you have fixtures, drainage, water heaters, backflow, you'll have different tabs for each of them with different headers customized to the type of product category that you're looking at. And of course, it's an open and editable Excel sheet, so you could go and copy and paste this and put that directly into your CAD drawings. Last format that I wanted to show, our Word format here, where we've got different levels of formatting. And again, you can copy and paste this, put it directly into your larger Word output specs. All of those can be accessed here from this format. You can see we've got additional formats for this, 3 different Word specs, long, short, and CSI. We've got that manufacturer spec sheet format, the Revit files where you download the Revit for the entire project, the schedule, the product brochure, submittals, and more coming as we continue to grow and as the site continues to roll out. It's been great seeing the development of these formats over time, but I'm excited to see us continue to grow. Now, again, if you did want to say copy from a master, maybe you only want some of these projects, some of these products, you can check the box, copy to, create new, create another project, create another specification, whatever you need to do. You can copy just those limited selections if you need, and then download it quick and easy. We think it's a great tool that saves a ton of time. Hopefully you guys do as well. If you want any additional training on the tool, feel free to reach out to myself, any of my team across Canada or the US. We've got people out there to help you out, help you get started either in designing your masters, getting your team set up, or getting just a general detailed training, as well as individual project assistance. You know, if you need help selecting your stainless steel drainage for your upcoming project, reach out to us. We'll loop in our great friend Michael O'Brien, who did a fantastic job today on the session on stainless steel drainage and contamination control. Thanks for joining us. I realize we've gone a little bit long here, but appreciate everyone spending a little additional time. Thanks again, Michael. And we'll see you all, I think, in next week or two. We've got a very highly anticipated presentation on adult change tables and the changing ADA code, which is actually fairly interesting, at least to a barrier-free design code nerd like me. The way that you're checking out the drains on the cruise, Mike, that's me checking out all the code changes over the years.
Yeah. Good.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Michael. Thank you to the Watts team for jumping on, and enjoy the rest of the day. We'll stick around if there's any additional questions, but enjoy the rest of the day, y'all. Bye for now.
I know.